Manchester City have finally done it. They've won the Champions League. Look, let's just get straight into this. G, what was your initial reaction to this match?
It was actually very surprising. I mean, no one even talking about this game gave Inter a shot. I didn't, you didn't, but they came out and they performed very well. They looked like they belonged here. And I mean, a lot of us didn't give them this credit. I think that's the first thing I want to say. I want to give Inter the credit they deserve for playing very well. But most of the match, I think, obviously the result happened that we all predicted City did win, but it was a lot closer than we all expected it to be. I saw a lot of people picking 5-0, 3-0, and absolute no respect to Inter. But realistically, I think Inter had the better chances in this game.
Yeah.
I think it was almost a disgrace that they didn't score. They didn't find a way to score because I really thought they were going to nick one at the death and we were going to go to extra time. But City were able to luck in. Look, the side of the pitch was just on their side. They had a little bit of luck that you need to win these type of games. Grind out these 1-0s. But I think overall a bit lackluster from City. But what can they play? They got the job done. They got the win and they got the trophy they needed to complete their treble. So, and to all respect, you did predict that they would win a treble a long time ago.
I did, right?
They think when I didn't give them a shot, a lot of people didn't give them a shot. It was kind of like a pipe dream. But City have actually won the treble, something they've always been teetering with, they've always been flirting with, but they finally got it done.
Yeah, look, I do have to take credit here. I did predict this months ago. Back when Arsenal were still leading the Premier League, I said that Man City were going to not only win the Premier League, that they were going to go on and win the treble. I had the belief that they were the best side in the world, and that's exactly what they proved today. Although this wasn't their best performance. I mean, let's make no mistake about it. This was not the City performance anybody expected, and I give Inter Milan a lot of credit. But we got the result everybody expected. It was just the road that was taken to get to that result was completely unexpected. Because if you told me Inter Milan were going to create the better chances compared to Man City, I would have told you were lying. But that's exactly what happened. Inter Milan should actually come away from this game feeling a bit unlucky that they didn't score. This game, realistically, at the bare minimum, should have went to extra time at 1-1, and then who knows what happens. But you have to give credit to Man City. They defended well, and oftentimes these big finals, they come down to one moment of brilliance. And in this case, it was Rodri putting away. What a brilliant finish it was. Ekes right by two Inter Milan defenders right into the bottom corner. I give him a lot of credit. I give Ederson a lot of credit because Ederson has been slandered for so many years, criticized. And today, you can say he was probably one of, if not the main reason why City hoisted up that Champions League trophy. So I give him a lot of credit. And obviously, based on this entire season, City thoroughly deserve this. They are the best side in the world. And this treble is thoroughly deserved. And, just based on this individual game, maybe it wasn't so deserved. But, it's not always about who deserves it. It's about, who actually gets the job done. We've seen it before in finals, and I think that's what kind of sums up this game. City showed the grit and determination that it takes to win these games. And like I said, it comes down to one moment of brilliance, and they were the side that had it today.
Yeah, and I think I almost thought it was over when Kevin De Bruyne got injured because, I mean, a lot of this poor performance can be due to, they're missing their main guy, I think, who is Man City's best player, Kevin De Bruyne. Unfortunately, I guess we're robbed of seeing him play in 90 minutes in a Champions League final, back-to-back finals that he's been in. Very unlucky, it just sucks to see because you want to see a player of his caliber prove it on the stage. And I really thought he was because Kevin De Bruyne is a big game player. That's what he lives for. But unfortunately, we didn't get to see that, but I'm sure he's not worried about it now.
No, I'm sure Kevin De Bruyne doesn't care. And I just want to say this before we get into the next talking point here. I saw some people slandering Kevin De Bruyne, saying like, oh, he's not a big game player. He got injured in 2 Champions League finals, saying that this is a detriment to his legacy. You're just waffling. It's a complete joke. He got injured. There's nothing he can do about it. If anything, I think this goes to show that these players are just overworked. It's something we've talked about for many years now. They need to cut back on games, ultimately. They have to find a way to do it because after a long, treacherous season where Man City basically went to the final of 3 competitions and ultimately did win it, of course, it's inevitable. Injuries are going to happen. And it's just unlucky for De Bruyne that it's happened now in 2021 and 2023. But obviously, this has no impact on his legacy. Him winning this final, even though he got injured, this boasts his legacy. This helps him. This propels him into that greatest Premier League midfielder conversation. This propels him into where does he rank all time with midfielders? I don't know exactly where he ranks. That's a video and a talking point for another day. But I just wanted to get that off my chest because I saw a lot of people slandering De Bruyne for something that he has no control over. I think that's a joke.
Yeah.
But obviously, City not only winning this Champions League, but winning the treble brings up so many talking points. And I think the first one that comes to mind is now there's 2 English teams to have won the treble. Manchester United in 1999 and Man City now in 2023. So which one is better? Which one do you think is better?
Look, I had to go back and just remind myself. And that's why I would tell anybody that before you make that decision, just, go back and just remember what you're talking about here. That Manchester United team, you look up and down it, is pure legends, pure icons, people that we hold into the regard of the best to ever play in the Premier League. And look, City's a great team. They're very, very good. But when we talk about the pure star class, if we do the combined 11, we're going to have more Manchester United players in that combined 11. That's just the truth of it. They have arguably one of the best midfield pairing of all time in Paul Scholes and my boy Roy Keane. So that's right. That's almost the perfect midfield pairing you need. I mean, when you talk about midfield, David Beckham, a guy that was regarded as one of the best footballers in the world currently at the time, and under the helm of the great Sir Alex. I mean, they're just held down gigs. I mean, Schmeichel. You can go on with that team, and obviously it happened a very, very long time ago to us. I mean, shit, we weren't even alive when that happened, but it can't be forgotten how great that team was. And look, City. Not to take anything away from what they've just done, but we can't, go over the moon here and forget what the OG Manchester team did.
Well, look, take nothing away from that Manchester United 1999 team because they are and were utterly amazing. I mean, that side, like you said, is loaded with legends from front to back. But for me, this Man City team had more wins, more points, more goals scored, less goals conceded. They went unbeaten in the Champions League. And for me, they just generally played better football. For me, what I saw United fans making their argument on, oh, well, Man City, they currently have 115 FFP violations. They spent less money. And, United have more academy players. So we're better. United fans, first of all, they love to act like they never spent any money. They had the highest wage bill in the Premier League in 1999, whereas Man City, they have the 3rd highest wage bill this season behind Chelsea and ironically Manchester United.
To be fair, that wasn't the argument that was made for them. They may have the biggest wage bill, but they did not make the biggest sign. We're talking about comparing Man City, who spent almost $1 billion within the last 3 odd seasons here. And look, maybe inflation, we can't take it apart. Oh yeah, they signed a player for $19 million back then, when nowadays that would be triple. But it's uncomparable.
But my point is, it's not about the money. For me, this conversation isn't about money. It isn't about how much wages you pay. It isn't about who has more academy players or how many pending FFP violations Man City have. The fact of the matter is, the debate is who is better, what team is better. So I don't care how many academy players United have. I don't care how much the transfer fees for some Man City players were. I'm just looking at who do I think is the better team. And I think this City 2023 team is better. If they played in a match, I think Man City would win. So that's why I'm going to side with Man City. That's why I'm going to give them the edge.
No, I think it's very hard to compare. Obviously, these teams are in different generations. I mean, football back then was completely differently. I think it was a lot. We did not see as much of attacking sense. It was more old school football. So it's hard to compare like that. Say, oh yeah, obviously City play better football now, but with the physicality that Manchester midfield especially had and the just way they played, I think it's completely different. Mm-hmm. Because it's almost impossible. That's why I don't necessarily love these, like, oh, this team versus that team, especially when there's almost 20 years in the difference, 20 plus years. It's severely hard, but I just think the road that Man United took to win that treble was just more difficult. Mm-hmm. That's just me. They had to go through, obviously, that Arsenal team that was still, when Arsenal were actually very, very good. Arsenal were pretty good this season, but it's not comparable, I think in this, and not to be, take anything away from Man City's run this year. I mean, they had to beat Bayern Munich and Real Madrid, but I think, United had a tougher road.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, this is one of those things where I think either answer you give could be seen as right. I mean, the margins are very, very slim. They're very, very small between these two sides. Obviously, it's two treble winning teams we're talking about. So I think no matter if you say United 99 or City 23, you can make a very, very good argument for either one. So I really don't think there's a wrong answer here. It's purely just your opinion. Who do you think would win? I mean, that's what it ultimately comes down to. And ultimately, we'll never know. Unfortunately, we'll never know who actually is the better team. I mean, half of these United 99 players are pundits, or David Beckham is now the owner of Inter Miami. So,
yeah.
We'll never get to know, of course. But obviously, another talking point that is being talked about now, debate that's been going on for a long time, but especially after this game, Pep Guardiola. After this match, do you view Pep Guardiola as the greatest manager of all time?
I think I kind of already did before, and then this just kind of more solidifies it. I mean, he's the only manager to ever win 2 trebles. No one's ever won more than one, so he's just the most winningest manager. I mean, look, as much as I always get on City for spending more money than anybody, they spend all their signings on, they buy everybody, but it takes a lot. I mean, we see with PSG, star power doesn't always win you what you want to win at the end of the day, and yet Pep has struggled to actually win that Champions League without Lionel Messi. That was always the thing. You haven't won without Messi, and he finally was able to do it with the City team, and especially with a team that a lot of people said was cursed. To win a Champions League with a team that was branded as a cursed team in the Champions League, they always bottle it. They always find a way to lose. That is, I give it a little bit more of accomplishment than if he had won it at Bayern or something, like a known European giant.
Mm-hmm.
And I think I give him a lot more credit for doing that. And obviously, he's owned the Premier League. The Premier League has not been competitive to him other than maybe 1 or 2 seasons, but he's just owned that. And I think the cherry on top was obviously the FA Cup, where they were able to get over Manchester United. So I think his legacy speaks for itself. He's the most winningest manager of all time, and he actually plays a brand of football. There's other managers that's like you kind of struggle to say, what do they really do? But when you a team gets Pep Guardiola, you know what's going to happen. You know how they're going to play. That they're going to play possession style. They're going to hold the ball. They're going to want to create many chances. That's just how this City team has played, and that's how all Pep Guardiola teams have played. Because he brings that ideology. He's changed the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean.
Well, look, for me, even before Man City winning this Champions League, I viewed Pep Guardiola as the greatest manager of all time. And now he's won the Champions League with Man City and, of course, the treble. So that's kind of the cherry on top. Pep Guardiola, for me, not only is just the greatest manager of all time because of the trophies he's won, but also the influence he's had on the game of football. I think the only manager you can put up there in terms of influence with Pep Guardiola is Johan Cruyff. Because realistically, there is no Pep without Cruyff. I mean, Cruyff kind of invented that Barcelona brand of football that, Pep revolutionized and that ultimately has brought to Man City. But then on top of being arguably one of, if not the most influential manager of all time, he has the trophies as well. He has a stacked resume, 35 trophies in 15 years as a manager. He has 3 Champions League titles now, tied with Zidane for the second most as a manager, only behind Ancelotti, who has 4. He's basically turned the Premier League into a farmers league, winning 5 titles in 7 seasons, and being the second team, to ever win 3 in a row. He's dominated Germany and Spain as well. He's the only manager to win 2 trebles. And for me, he orchestrated the best team of all time in 2011 Barcelona. I don't think I'm ever going to see a better overall football side than that. And he has expressed a desire to finish his contract, which expires in 2025. So he's going to add more to his resume. His already stacked and loaded resume that makes him the greatest manager of all time, he's going to add to it. He might add another Premier League, another FA Cup, maybe even another Champions League. So Pep Guardiola is the greatest manager of all time, already done. And now he's just going to add to it. I mean, what's stopping him from going into potentially international management and adding a World Cup or a Euros? I mean, what's stopping him from doing that once he's done with Man City in 2025? Because realistically, he's done everything there is to do. He's done it in 3 different leagues. He's won the Champions League without Lionel Messi. The only thing that people could slander him for, oh, well, you couldn't do it without Messi in Barcelona. What are you saying now? There's nothing left to hate on Pep for. He's done it all. He has proven the doubters wrong. He's proven the haters wrong, and ultimately has solidified himself as the greatest manager of all time, in my opinion.
I mean, I echo everything you say. I mean, it's just the Pep effect. He's completely changed the way of football. I mean, if you see, even if you go like down to your local pitch and you see a team pass the ball around beautifully, you say, that's Pep. That's tiki-taka. That's just how it
His
is.
influence, yeah.
So that's his influence, and I mean, it's no disrespect to other people like Jose Mourinho or Sir Alex Ferguson or Carlo Ancelotti or Johan Cruyff. It's just Pep has done it for so long, and I don't think it's like the more of a heat of the moment thing. It's something that he's been doing for such a long time, and he's been coaching for a long time, and he was a pretty decent player. I mean, he was
People
the fact
forget that as well.
people that he was a very decent player, and the fact that he's able to overshadow his entire career with what he's done, basically off the pitch, it's incredible.
Yeah, I mean, it's actually kind of wild because he was a very good player.
Very good.
He won a Champions League with Barcelona as a player, and basically people forget that how good he was as a player because he's become the greatest manager of all time. It's actually kind of crazy to me. But obviously, another huge talking point that comes out after this game, people are already talking about who should win the Ballon d'Or. This is a conversation we've been having for a very long time. Obviously, the two favorites, the two front runners, Lionel Messi or Erling Haaland, both have a very good argument for why they should win it. Who do you think should win the Ballon d'Or?
I'm going to stick to what I've been saying this entire season since the World Cup ended. I think Lionel Messi is still the best player in the world. I think he deserves it. I mean, if you look at the stats, he still has more goal contributions. He's contributed to more goals than Erling Haaland this season. That's hard. It's almost hard to think because everybody keeps bringing up how many goals he scored this season, but we also have to take into account what he's a part of. He's a part of one of the best sides we've seen in the past 5 years. He is literally under the seeing of one of the greatest managers of all time. If you don't want to agree that Pep's the greatest of all time, you could say he's one of them. And just this City team was just piped and ready for a player like Haaland to just explode because all they were needing is just a number 9. And look, he scores great goals, but we've seen him disappear in the semifinals and the finals now. That's not what a Ballon d'Or winner does. In my opinion, just how I see it, who does it on the nights where you need it the most? When you need a goal the most, who gets it? And a lot of times, it's not that guy. And he had a lot of chances in this game to do something, but he just didn't really. Well, I can even say that he didn't really have very many chances tonight. He barely touched the ball.
Yeah,
I could think he had one chance in the first half, and that was it. I mean, soon as Kevin De Bruyne went out, it's like Haaland's like, okay, I guess I'm coming off too. I could not understand it, and yeah, it's hard to compare Messi at PSG because he had nobody there. But if you put Messi on this Manchester City team, then I mean, well, we're not having this conversation. You have to take into account to what Haaland has around him. That's helped him a lot. He's been able to finish and score many times, but look at pure goal contributions. Who's contributed to more goals and who's just watch them. Watch both of them play. There has never been a footballer purely better than Messi since he's been playing. If you can look at the Ballon d'Or pure like that. Who's a better footballer? Who's better at playing the game?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't have a better touch than Messi? Doesn't dribble better than Messi? I don't think he finishes better than Messi. I don't know if he does anything better other than being taller, realistically. So look, I think he gave him a good run for his money. I mean, it's the best argument that Haaland could possibly make to win the Ballon d'Or now, but it doesn't beat what Messi's done, especially in the World Cup and just overall what he did during the season. I mean, look at his numbers.
Yeah. Well, look. First of all, I just want to say take nothing away from Erling Haaland. If there was ever a season in which two players deserve the Ballon d'Or, it's this one. But unfortunately, that's not how it works. There can only be one winner. And Erling Haaland, he's done things that I almost thought were unthinkable. He broke the 38-game Premier League scoring record and the 42-game Premier League goal scoring record in just 38 games. That's almost unthinkable. He won the Champions League Golden Boot. He won the European Golden Boot. And let's just be honest, Man City don't win the Champions League without Erling Haaland and his impact on the team. They brought him in to win the Champions League, and that's exactly what they've done. But let's just be honest here. Erling Haaland ghosted in both semifinal legs against Real Madrid. He just ghosted in this final against Inter Milan. He ghosted in the FA Cup semifinal, and he ghosted in the FA Cup final. Haaland had the least amount of touches of any outfield player to play 90 minutes today with only 19 touches. And I thought this was fake right here, but he only completed 3 passes in the entire match. Look it up. Go on whatever footballing app you use. He only completed 3 passes. 3! And look, you compare it to Messi. He won the World Cup. He won Ligue 1. He won the French Super Cup. He literally has more goal contributions than Haaland this season. 62 versus Haaland 61. And then people forgetting already how dominant Messi was at the World Cup. 7 goals, 3 assists. Messi scored in the group stage, the round of 16. He got a goal and an assist against the Netherlands in the quarterfinals. He scored and assisted in the semifinals, and then 2 goals in the final. He won 5 Man of the Match awards in the World Cup, including the final. He won the World Cup Golden Ball. He won the FIFA The Best Award. He won the IFFHS Best Playmaker Award. He won the Laureus Sportsman of the Year, something no other footballer has done besides him. And everyone now wants to say, penalty for Argentina, penalty for Messi. But I forgot when they changed the rules of football and penalties don't count anymore. I remember, this was not that long ago. There was a time when Messi was criticized for missing penalties and being bad at them. And now he makes his penalties and he's slandered for it. Oh, Messi, a penalty for Argentina. Look, Messi is the clear Ballon d'Or winner. Number 8 is incoming. Take nothing away from Erling Haaland. He's had a phenomenal season. But Messi deserves this Ballon d'Or, and I believe he will go on and win this Ballon d'Or.
I completely agree. I mean, I just look at it more just who plays the game better, who's better, and I think.
And for me, it's not even just who's better. Messi also has just as good of a case to win it.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, Haaland has the trophies. He won the Premier League, he won the FA Cup, and he won the Champions League to complete the treble. But people are acting like Messi didn't win anything this season either. I mean, he literally won the World Cup, and then he also won the Ligue 1 and French Super Cup with PSG. Obviously, people discredit that a little bit, and even I've discredited it in the past because it is the Ligue 1 title with PSG. It's pretty much a guarantee before they even start the season that PSG is going to win Ligue 1. But it still counts. You know what I mean? It's still a trophy that they put in the cabinet that Messi contributed to and basically helped them win.
But also it's hard to compare when Haaland has Manchester City. Everything is on his side. He has all the cards in his deck. I mean, he definitely had the more support here. Messi was more kind of, he had Mbappe and partial Neymar, but those players don't really help Messi. They don't, those aren't players that you would think of, oh, this is going to help elevate Messi. Unlike what Argentina had, where what would help Messi more is a midfield backing, actual midfield that can run, that can move around. So that would help a lot. And I mean, I just don't really, Haaland's great, but I don't rate him as highly as everybody else does. He's great. But I don't think he's better than Harry Kane. I don't think he was better than Karim Benzema. And I don't think he was better than Robert Lewandowski. I think if you put any of those 3 guys in that City fold, they do the same. They do the exact same. And I saw the argument floating around that, who had a more impressive season, Harry Kane or Erling Haaland. I think it's Harry Kane. Because you see what Harry Kane was given? He was given basically a couple Spurs fans, a couple ball boys, and he's trying to go make it work. That Spurs entire season this one has been a joke and a disgrace. But the fact that Harry Kane is able to have a 30-plus goal season and no one's talking about it is just forgotten because of how bad Spurs is. Mm-hmm. Look, we're gonna see what happens when Harry Kane does move. If he goes to Real Madrid or Manchester United or wherever. We're going to see what happens because he's actually being on a team that could possibly have a chance to win something. Mm-hmm. So, but that's just what I think of. I think Erling Haaland's a great player, but I don't think he's up there where some people have him at.
Mm-hmm. Well, look, and I think some people will agree with you. Obviously, some people are probably wanting to punch you through the screen right now listening to you say that. Obviously, it's a debate that's going to continue to rage on. I saw in the interview post-match, Haaland basically said, I'm only 22 years old. I still have things I know I need to improve on. And I think we are going to see him get better, which is a little bit scary because we saw what he did this season in his first season, breaking, the 42-game and 38-game Premier League goal-scoring record. So if he does get better, he said he wants to work on his right foot. If he gets a right foot in the same way he has a left foot, oh my God, he might score 50 in the Premier League. So
he's not going to score more goals than he did next season. That's just not happening. We're going to see some changes happen. I think that it was nice to see, oh my God, this guy going for it. But I think we started to see teams kind of start to figure something out here. I think they started to see, maybe we just don't give him tap-ins. He might not score. Mm-hmm. So we'll have to see. I think the teams are going to start to adapt to how Haaland plays.
Mm-hmm. And the final thing that I wanted to ask you before we get out of here, do you think City can give it a go next season? Do you think they can have a chance to repeat?
They'll be in the conversation, but I don't think so.
You don't think
they'll be there? No.
Yeah.
There's a reason there's only one team that's ever repeated, and because of how hard it is. I mean, it's so hard because you got to take into account injury. You have to take into account, what other teams are bulking up, what other teams are signing, And I know a team that's making some big signings, making some big moves. So
Yeah.
you know.
Well, look, like I do agree. Obviously, if there's one thing we all know about football, there is no such thing as guarantees in football, and anything can happen on a season-to-season basis. There is never a guarantee that City are going to be back in this position next season. Obviously, injuries can happen. It's looking likely that they lose Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. They're going to have to replace those. Those are very key players to the squad. I will say, if there's any team that I trust to make the right replacements for those players, it's Man
So
City, because they
overspend on
always
money.
do. You can say that it's overspending or whatever, but they always make good signings to replace players that want to leave. So I do trust Man City to do that. But ultimately, there are other teams that are reloading. You look at Real Madrid, you look at Barcelona, if they're able to make signings. I don't know what their financial situation looks like. You look at, there are going to be other teams that are reloading that are going to try to compete and win the Champions League next season. So it's going to be difficult. There is a reason why Real Madrid are the only team to go back to back, and they actually did it 3 times in a row, of course.
Actually,
So
yeah.
it's going to be very difficult. But if I'll say this City team, they are still going to be a force to be reckoned with next season. But obviously, there's no such thing as a guarantee that they're going to be back in this position. It's football; anything can happen. As we saw in this game, you can beat them. You can outperform them. Obviously, they Inter Milan still lost, but you can outperform them, and you can stop Haaland. You can do these things. So ultimately, it's one of those things we're going to have to wait and see. We'll be back next season to see it 1 year from now, 1 year from today. But yeah, ultimately, any final words you got about the game, Haaland, anything?
I think that wraps it up for me.
Well, look, wanted to let us know in the comments down below what you thought of this match. Who do you think should win Ballon d'Or? Is Pep your greatest manager of all time? Who do you think is better, United 99 or City 23? Let us know the answers to the questions we had in the comments down below. And I think without further ado, we wrap this one up.
You can get out of here.
So I'm Zach.
I'm G.
And we'll see y'all next time for another video on the channel. Peace.